Did you guys see the face I used for my thumbnail? I look like a fucking idiot, don't I? Anyway, welcome to the YouTube Mario's Gaming World BT10 official tier list. Today we're going to be going through a whole bunch of the BT10 decks, and we're going to sort them in a tier list. A few weeks ago, a couple people on Twitch just suggested I do this for fun, so we're just going to do it for fun. We're going to see what happens. Anyway, of course, I want to know your thoughts, which I'm sure there'll be many contentious thoughts in the comments section because it's a tier list and highly subjective and blah, 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 all that stuff. So let me know what you think about my tier list in the comments. And of course, like the video and subscribe to the notification bell on the Smash Potatoes. That way you know when all these amazing Digimon videos go live. Let's do this thing. Alright, I'm going to conveniently use this tier list that someone else already made because I don't really care enough to make one of my own. I think everything is here anyway, so it probably will be okay. What I want to do is start off with the decks that are just like auto tier 1. The decks that, nobody should dispute that these are tier 1 decks going into the BT10 meta. And if anyone does dispute these decks, well, I don't tell you. So let's start with the obvious ones. Cross, Shoutmon, definitely tier 1. Probably best deck of the format. It just fucking kills you out of nowhere with not a lot of setup. Very strong deck. The save mechanic's pretty broken. Okay, we know that. That's fine. Minervamon is also a tier 1 deck, undisputably. Huge combo ceiling. If you play it perfectly, you're a force. You don't care if the cross deck does what it does because you're fine. You're fine. You're literally gonna make it so they can't play the game, or you're just gonna kill them. So either way, I think that's pretty good. Another auto tier 1 deck, in my opinion, is Jesmon. Jesmon here is very powerful going into the BT10 meta. Very strong, very powerful, hits for a lot of damage, spams a bunch of guys on the field, or technically spams a bunch of girls on the field. And those girls just help you block and gain power and all this nonsense, and recover even. So Jesmon has a lot of defensive viability as well as offensive power. Makes for a really good deck, and it's not even that inconsistent how the deck plays, 5 Savior Huckmons technically, plus Chimeramons. It's not like back in the day where you only played 4 Savior Huckmon, which, a little bit inconsistent. I'd argue that Jesmon is more consistent now than it was in BT6 when it came out. That's really cool. Next on the auto tier 1 list here is Gaiomon, aka Black War Greymon, Tamer Hate dot deck. Yeah, it just poops all over Tamers, dumps all over Mikey, dumps all over all those other 3-cost Tamers you play. Really good anti-meta pick for the cross deck. Plus, it's just good against all the other decks that play Tamers. Plus, it's capable of just going toe-to-toe with other BT9 decks currently, which we'll see play BT10, and has the ability to just win out of nowhere. Also has Blitz. Blitz is really cool. And all sorts of good inheritables, prevention from deletion. Like, it just has so many tools going for it. I don't think you can argue that this deck is going to be tier 1. It's very good. Next up, according to our TCG ban list, I'm going to put Alphamon up here. Because the security plus 1 Doro Greymon and most importantly, the protection ability of that Doro Greymon is still at 4 on our list, as opposed to Japan where it's only at 1. BT10 in Japan, this deck was putting in, action, so to speak, with 4 Doro Greys, and I see no reason why I won't do it here. It is one of the best decks currently in BT9, and I see no reason why it doesn't translate over to BT10. And speaking of another good BT9 deck, I am going to throw Melga X up there. This one might be slightly contentious, but it can go toe-to-toe with Alphamon and Black War Greymon. And if these decks aren't seeing any big changes going into BT9 and they're capable of dominating the meta, there's also no reason why Melga can't do it. It can just OTK you out of nowhere as well. Prevention from battle deletion is a really cool thing to have. And it's consistent. Cool Boy's a really good card. Just gotta be careful because there'll be more Black War Greymon players this time around, which means your Cool Boys are in danger against that deck. But besides that, I think it's perfectly viable. Moving along, Imperial, definitely tier 1. This deck in testing is dumping all over Cross and Minervamon, just because of how fast it is, and Paildramon being a really good card, bouncing important things at the bottom of the deck. Also does really good against Jesmon. And it can stand with these decks in BT9 as well. I definitely think that Imperial is very good, and you guys should not sleep on Imperial. Security control. Definitely a tier 1 deck in the BT10 format. You can build your deck however you want, and BT10 gives us all sorts of new tools. I don't know what Venusmon down here is supposed to represent, to be honest, but you can play Venusmon, you can play main mode, you can do all sorts of things to security control BT10. We've been testing it, definitely like a strong force. It does play Zwart Defeat, especially to help deal with the cross stuff. Plays Death Xmon to help with the cross stuff. It's a good anti-meta. And speaking of good anti-meta, we'll also throw Venusmon in there. Not really sure what it's supposed to represent. It could be, a special version of security control. If it's yellow hybrid, then we're jumping into contentious territory. But Venusmon's a very good anti-meta pick for BT10. If you pilot it properly, you'll probably do fine. So that's all I gotta say on that. A deck that doesn't get enough credit, but that was winning in Japan a lot in the BT10 format was Grandis. Grandis, arguably the best green deck in BT10. It's even doing things in BT11, which is crazy. That's making it all this way. But just the ability to set up a one big green stack, do all your security damage in one shot, and maybe win with a hybrid for game or double Mimi strats, it's very strong. And it's going to be able to do what it did in BT9, just with these BT10 decks lying around. So, I don't know what to tell you, but Grandis is going to be tier 1. I do think that Sakuyamon actually is like tier 1 viability here. Sakuyamon is like a more linear version of Minervamon Loop, in my opinion. But it does do some loopy shenanigans, does a lot of damage all at once, deletes things via DP reduction, as arguably a very consistent deck. Plus main mode is just broken. I see no reason why Sakuyamon cannot be tier 1 in the BT10 format. It's a very, very good deck. Blue Flare. Yeah. We figured out Blue Flare. Blue Flare is good. There's a reason why it's winning in Japan, and we have finally found the sauce that makes Blue Flare really good. Deck profile incoming, by the way. So Blue Flare here, good deck. Definitely can stand with the 3 best decks, Cross, Minerva, Jessamon. Stands with all the BT9 decks that are coming over to BT10. Blue Flare is just capable of winning the game. And stalling game, which is very important, thanks to a few tech cards in the deck. Depending on how you play it, of course. D-Reaper. Definitely tier 1. I can't see how you would argue that. D-Reaper plays Death Xmon, can play other techs like Starmon, Holy Flames, whatever you want. Also, Reaper just ends the game. Unless the cross deck, if you have a Reaper running rampant, unless they have Sunrise Buster or something in security, they're not doing anything to you. So your Reaper is going to put in a lot of work. Against Minerva, it can also just end the game. Against Jessamon, you can use Pilates Head to kill the blockers, Death Xmon to kill the blockers, and then you come in with a Reaper to finish them off. Yeah, D-Reaper, thanks to Death Xmon, a very strong pick for tier 1 contender in the BT10 format. Alright, we're getting down to the bottom of the barrel now, huh? Beelstar Control. Definitely a deck that has what it takes to be in the tier 1 meta in BT10. Beelstar can play whatever options you want to help combat whatever matches you want. Things like Kaitis Breath, Fly Bullets aren't bad, Beelstar is one of the perfect control decks in the format. Has all great tools like Eismons, any 7-cost option you want, Tamers. In Japan, they were even playing Terror's Cluster and a Green Tamer. Terror Cluster. Like, that's fucking hilarious. Yeah, Beelstar. Beelstar is good. You gotta trust in the Beelstar. We've been testing it. Beelstar's working quite well. Also, Armor Rush, surprisingly, doing quite well. Magna X is really kind of good against decks like Shoutmon, unironically. Magna X helps you stay alive a little bit longer. You can also play Mega Deaths if you want, which help counter certain things in other matchups, if you see them in security. All in all, just a really aggressive deck. Kind of like Imperial, but worse. But still tier 1, thanks to the inherent power that Magna X gives you. Card is very strong. D-Brigade. This deck's cracked. Absolutely insane. D-Brigade here has what it takes to be really fucking annoying in BT10. It definitely tier 1, with the Death Xmon, the Ultimate Flares. Man, there's no way that this deck isn't good. There's no way. I'm definitely not sniffing any copium at this point in the video. If you guys think that War Grey X won't be able to win tournaments in BT10, let me tell you something. War Grey X with Omnimon X Antibody in BT10, nasty, nasty combos you can do. Also gives you access still to BT1 War Greymon, which is a very strong card against certain decks like Security Control, Minervamon, and anything else that plays an abundance of options security. it can do a lot of damage to you. It can win the game out of nowhere, and that's okay. That's perfectly all right. Dark Nightmon. It kills Tamers. It must be tier 1, right? Right? Let's not forget our boy Gamamon down here. You know, with some big crazy stacks that this deck can make, it can just end the game. It can blitz all over your opponent's face, and it can just end the game against any of these decks up here. Except maybe, like, anything that plays Magnamon X. But besides that, you know, really, really good stuff. Really good stuff. Mastamon being able to delete Tamers makes it a really good contention for tier 1. Can deal with the cross matchup, deal with whatever you want. Plays with Xmon, so good against Jessmon. That's all you need. That's all you need. And plays options of security to stop really annoying things as well. Definitely tier 1, right? Alright, I think we're at the point in the video where you guys understand the whole point of this deck, so I'm not even gonna try to like cover the rest of this. Yeah, I have there's no way in my mind that I can convince anybody these are tier 1 decks, so I'm not even gonna try. I'm not even gonna try. And yeah, that's your Mario's Gaming World tier 1 deck list, because everything is tier 1 at Mario's Gaming World, right? Everything! By the way, in case it wasn't painfully obvious, this video is a joke video and not intended to reflect the tier 1 nature of the BT10 format. So before you say, you know, oh Mario actually thinks everything is tier 1, oh my god! No, it's a joke! Deal with it, lol.